Hey, welcome back to Evil's Comics. I'm Evil Mike, and I have another review for you. This is going to be from Image Comics, the Me You Love in the Dark, issue number 5, the last issue in the series. Um, Written by Skottie Young, art by Jorge Corona, colors by Jean-Francois Beaulieu, and then letters by Nick Piekos of Blambot. I know I mispronounced at least two of those names, so I'm bad with names. So the Me You Love in the Dark, right? At the end of this review, I'll show you some of the art. I do have it's kind of storming here, so if you hear some thunder, that's what's going on in the background. But it's just going to highlight the story that we got going on, right? So the Me You Love in the Dark, right? It's I'll say a dark kind of story, and it's about Rue, and she's a struggling artist, and she was needing inspiration. She ended up buying this house, with a dark aesthetic, a dark tone to the house, hoping to get inspiration. She ended up moving in there. The comic, the 5 issues, well, at least the 4 issues, is basically a year of her spending, time in this new house, maybe a little more than a year. But she finds out that she's not the only one that lives in the house, even though she moved in there by herself. The house does have like a ghost or entity that resides in the house. And they have not revealed in the book as far as exactly what this is, what it, down to the T or whatever, but it looks like a whole bunch of different things. Sometimes you see all kind of numerous different hands stick out from everywhere. A lot of ways it reminds me of like the symbiotes with the venom and stuff like that, the way you see it oozing through the house and stuff, but a lot of times it looks like a lot of teeth, a lot of eyes, a lot of hands. But I don't think it officially really has a form, and it's not like just pure evil, the thing wants to love kind of thing. He just has a very tormented vision and of love. So at this point, we had seen that Rue had finally, spending this year with this entity, that she had fallen in love with it. In the last issue, it kind of got a little, on more on the lovey-dovey side, where they even showed us that Rue and this thing even, had sex in the last issue. I think it was in the 3rd issue. In the last issue, it seemed like the entity or whatever have you, and seemed like he was doing everything the bad boyfriend, not supposed to do kind of thing. He's doing everything, but kind of. Well, I mean, I think there were some scenes where he grabbed her, but he didn't really hit her. But I mean, he's jealous, won't let her leave the house. He's being controlling, telling, won't let her talk. Those kind of things, being very oppressive. At the very end of the last comic, we saw one of her real life friends is her agent who deals with her art and stuff like that, was getting impatient, waiting for her to produce new art, and he came to the house to check on her. Rue was trying to get this guy to go away. Rue kind of looks, not so good on the healthy wise, so he had kind of noticed that, and he was getting, a little more curious and, that kind of aspect. So eventually he comes in the house, and this thing is just mad, of course, that this guy's in the house. It wants him to leave. Of course he doesn't leave. In the very end, it looks like that, this guy met his demise, and that's kind of where this issue starts off with. And basically we find out in glorious, gory fashion. I mean, that thing killed this guy. There's nothing left on him. I mean, he's just a goop on the floor, it looks like, and Rue is just horrified, especially because he was a friend, not just like somebody she worked with. But just how extreme that this entity took it, he could have done many different things, and he just, I mean, this thing, the guy blew up, he's just on the ground. The entity even gets to this point where he's like, oh, well, I upset you, I hurt you kind of thing, and how can I make it better, and playing the sympathy card and stuff like that, because ultimately he wants her to be having a good time. He just wanted that guy to leave and stuff, and the way he sees it, and she didn't get him to leave, that guy to leave fast enough, so like at this point, like Rue is extremely freaking out. He even like reanimates this guy where he's like, well, look, I'll put them back together kind of thing, and he doesn't exactly put them back together, but more like the Scarecrow Man, something like that. But he even jokes around like, look, I thought you'd make, I'd make that, I thought that would help, and you'd feel better if you saw your friend again, kind of thing. And then he kind of throws the goop back on the ground, kind of thing, and she's just more and more horrified. But eventually she tries to leave. She just, he gets to this point where he tries kissing her, and she's like, heck no, not after that. And and she ends up taking off, and at this point he's showing like, I mean, he just looks like mounds of teeth or mounds of eyes. At this point he's going on the extreme scary and stuff like that. But she takes off running, trying to make it to the front door, and of course, I mean, he's all over this house, and he doesn't let her leave, and he's like, oh, I know what'll make you feel better, and he kind of drags her downstairs, and eventually he gets her to paint. Hold on one second. Sorry. He gets her to paint, telling her that every time she painted, kind of thing, that she was in a better mood, kind of, so he drags her down there, starts getting her to paint, and she's like, okay, I'll paint, I get you, but I need to be left alone, kind of thing. So he kind of, he does agree. He kind of stumps off, in his little pouty mood or whatever, and she goes on to paint. She spends hours painting, and I think it does show that she does more than one painting. And eventually, as she's like looking around, she notices that he left all like, that he's not aware, or that, something like that, where he left, or, but she does see that there's like paint thinner and alcohol and stuff like that, and she comes up with the plan to like, kind of like set it up in a way where it was like all in one area. And then, she gets him to come like downstairs. She goes upstairs and she's like, hey, you want to see what I'm working on? And then she kind of plays it in this sly way where she didn't bring it up, she has him bring it up. And like, she does bring him downstairs, and of course he's really excited to see, what she had, painted and stuff. So he goes over there, and she has it kind of set up where it's like facing the opposite direction, so it'll take longer time for him to get to the painting, kind of thing. As she's doing that, she's holding a candle because he's turned out all the lights in the house, and she's, stating that, like, I kind of like, I wish you would have done this, but, you're not going to back me into a corner, kind of thing, I'm not going to be, I used to be this strong, this person, and now look at what I am, over this past year I've changed, and because of you. And she's like, no, and the fact that you're not going to allow me to leave, peacefully, kind of thing, leads her to do what she does, and she throws the candle, and ba-boom, this thing blows up. But he doesn't instantly die or anything. It becomes like this massive, like, pissed off, like, kind of teeth and bones and hands, and he's on fire the whole time. But from that point on, she's just, trying to make it to the house and get the heck out of there. Excuse me. But eventually she does make it at the house, and almost every which way out of the house, he's like, rah, rah, he pops out of like the walls, the doors, the ceilings, kind of thing. And he's always on fire, and he's always screaming in agony and stuff. And eventually she does make it out of the house, and they just show her, kind of like outside catching her breath, and they show the whole house like burned to the ground. Eventually it jumps over to like 1 year later or something like that, and they show like an antique store and a couple buying, like, looking at art, and eventually they settle on this one painting, and they make this joke that it looks like a copy of another painting they know of, but they're not sure. But that the lady in the group kind of states that she feels it's like a knockoff or somebody trying to go for that motif, and the guy stating like, man, it feels somewhat familiar. And when they look at the painting, hey, here's my cat, she wants some attention. But as they are looking at the the painting, you know, the woman makes the remark about, you know, the painting having a burnt, you know, area, and then they kind of zoom in and you can see that it's one of the paintings from, you know, Rue's painting from the house that burned down or something, like somebody had scavenged it or something like that. I'll go ahead, that's pretty much the end of the book and where it leaves off. Honestly, it was really good. I'm not going to say it was like the best ever. I want to say the ending was kind of like a 75% on the 100% scale. You know, it's not exactly what I wanted, but honestly, I didn't know how it was going to end if it didn't end in some horrific way. Honestly, I thought Rue wasn't going to make it out of it, kind of thing. So, I mean, at least it ended in that fashion where Rue didn't make it out of the house. But I'll show you some of the art. I'll let you kitty a little bit, but I'll show you some of the art and let y'all go on y'all's way. Trying to catch up on a lot of my reading. So I'm going to be dropping a lot of reviews. I don't know if I'm going the right way. The art in this book is amazing. I mean, just for the 5 issues alone, it's going to be nice to have in my collection because it's just a beautiful, you know, done piece of art. And there's some crazy stuff in there when he is burning. Well, that's pretty much it, guys. Y'all have a great day. Bye!